Hello, beloveds. I am the Reverend Holly Brown. I am the interim minister here at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tallahassee. And I'm reaching out with some exciting news. If you haven't seen it, the denomination released a statement in the last couple of weeks around what we have learned from the pandemic and how we cannot go back to the way things were before. And as part of this, they recognize that we have important work to do around disability justice and in ways that we can be more intentionally inclusive and creating greater accessibility in multiple different ways. This work is long overdue. The denomination has made a financial pledge to help move this work forward and in supporting the equal access group that has been working on this in our denomination for quite some time. And we as a congregation are also at this point of acknowledging there are things that we have learned from this pandemic and that we are continuing to learn, that we must make an intentional effort to be more inclusive of folks online and in person, because things are not going to go back to the way they were before the pandemic. And to this end, I have recognized that during our water communion at the end of September, we could have been more mindful of the ways that we were including folks during that ritual. And we'll be doing more in the future to encourage greater participation. And in the immediate future, some changes that we have made after learning that information are to improve our sound quality and make sure that we are positioning choir mics and things like that in the best way that we can. And while this doesn't fix everything, we're doing our best to make those changes in the immediate future. But also, beyond what we can do with technology, there are ways that we can incorporate folks online and in person more fully. One of the ways that we've already started doing this is by offering joys and concerns in a way that is the same for everyone. Being able to write something in a book at the back of the sanctuary or in the chat that will be shared and read aloud during that portion of the service, so that everyone is included in the same way, and recognizing this as part of us being one congregation, one community, not two separate groups that are experiencing worship in a different way. It's important to recognize that we are together. And as an additional way to represent this, we are changing at the end of service to gallery view, so that anybody that is on Zoom that would like to be seen in the sanctuary can have their video on and wave to the folks that are there, and that folks that are in the sanctuary can be intentional about waving to the folks online by utilizing the webcam that is set up in the sanctuary. And as for my own commitments, I'm going to work throughout the rest of my time here as an interim minister to be mindful of how we include folks on Zoom, but also of making a point of joining the folks on Zoom during coffee hour at least once a month, so that we can have that same level of engagement that I was with folks online during the pandemic before we started offering in-person opportunities, and encouraging folks that are in person to engage with those conversations as well. Additionally, our nominating committee modeled something this past week, and that we hope other groups will do in the coming months, by offering hospitality following service, and not just in person, but also offering that same opportunity for conversation and deepening understanding of the changes that are happening with the governance model, the role of the nominating committee, and expanding our ways of developing leaders in the congregation. And other groups such as committees, the board, the teams that participate and affinity groups will have opportunities in the coming months to have these conversations, and they are being encouraged by me and by the board and the nominating committee to be intentional about offering something both online and in person, so as many people as possible can participate, because we recognize that multiple methods of communication are necessary for us to have the most information going out. And that's also why I'm doing this video today rather than a written article, because sometimes different methods of communication help us share that information more fully with as many people as possible. And finally, I would like to encourage you to look out for information about widening the circle of concern, which will be a study action that will be offered online and in person for those that wish to participate. And the study action is utilizing a report for the Commission on Institutional Change released in 2020 and looking at the information but also at the recommendations they made and identifying actions that UUCT can make to be more intentional about living into our understanding of liberation through theology and education, as well as exploring equity and inclusion and reparations and accountability. And we hope that as many people as possible participate in this opportunity so that we can, as a congregation, move forward into living into the eighth principle. For more information, there'll be some links below this video, and I hope to see so many of you in these various opportunities. May you be well.